is very nice to see you, and we have ourselves one of the most fascinating shows that we have yet to put on the air, because I have no cards in front of me, and I haven't the vaguest idea what this first show is all about. Does anybody backstage have cards? Just excuse me, friend. Oh! Son of a gun! I'm so glad you came. It's fascinating. Friends, you heard of the daring young man on the flying trapeze. Well, his daring is nothing compared to the nerve of the intrepid young lady who is our first guest today. And we'll meet her as soon as our panel more or less fumbles its way up onto our stage here on the television.
Bill Cullen, Kitty Carlisle, Larry Blythe, and Peggy Cash.
And one thing that I had better explain at this point is it was Kitty who you saw hand the cards to me. She does not have the cards before the show. It was the stagehand who handed the cards to Kitty, who then handed them to me, right?
Right. And Peggy wanted to do it. I said, I think he's nervous. I go first, so I better do it.
All righty. Well, we're straightened out now. Panel, I have a little bit of film to show you to introduce our first guest today. And let's take a look at that film first, please. See on top of the wing?
Oh.
That's a young lady standing up there on the top of that wing. I've heard of economy tickets, but that is ridiculous. All righty, pretty spectacular anyway. Now, she finally did get down off that wing. As a matter of fact, she's standing right there on her own 2 feet right now. Let's meet her.
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Sandi Pierce.
Number two.
My name is Sandi Pierce.
Number three.
My name is Sandi Pierce.
And let us listen to the aerobatic affidavit of Sandi Pierce. It says here, I, Sandi Pierce, love to ride on airplanes. And when I say on, I mean on, not in. I am what is known as a wing rider. At various air shows around the country, I am strapped to the upper wing of a 450 Stearman biplane. And there I stand while the plane executes a series of aerobatic maneuvers. While the aircraft goes through loops and slow rolls, cubinates, hammerhead stalls, and even while it flies upside down. My job is to keep smiling and wave at the crowd watching below or on the ground.
I can never do that. Oh, my God.
The worst thing I can say about wing riding is that it gets pretty chilly and very, very windy. But I never get frightened. You see, I have great faith in the man at the controls of the plane. He's my husband. Signed, Sandi Pierce. That would be a tough act to do the day after you've had a fight with your husband, wouldn't it?
I was about to say.
Hey, friends, we're going to be back right after a couple of commercials. Hey there, welcome back, friends. As you remember, all three of these ladies claim to be Sandi Pierce, airplane wing rider. Let's start the questioning with the gentleman who does all of his flying from inside a plane, Mr. William Cullen.
And I intend to keep it that way, too. Number two, why do they call your Stearman a 450?
Oh, because the horsepower is 450.
Number three, who makes the engine on the Stearman your husband flies?
Pratt & Whitney aircraft.
Uh-huh. And number one, is it a radial or a rotary engine, as far as you know?
Rotary.
Number two, how many hours about before your husband has that engine overhauled, upon which your life depends?
Oh, very often, like every after the air show.
Number three, if I were to, what is a Waco?
A Waco is a type of airplane. Yeah, so it indicates a company.
Number one, is a Waco a monoplane or a biplane?
Biplane.
Number two is a Stearman, a monoplane or a biplane.
It's a biplane.
Number three, do you take very good care of your
As Buzzer Bill interrupts you and takes us to Kitty.
I don't care about all those questions about airplanes. I want to know about the personal equation. Number two, do you ever fight?
Fight? No, no.
I mean, with your husband.
Oh, no, we have a very amiable relationship.
Thank you. Number one, if you were to fight with your husband, would you feel uneasy about going up with him?
No, no.
Number three, how long have you been married?
5 years.
I see. Number two, I got seasick looking at those films. You don't get seasick when you're turned upside
not
down?
at all.
Number one, what are you strapped in with so you can stand upright when the plane's upside down?
Well, I have a harness that's similar to a parachute harness with the clips, and I also have a safety belt around the waist that's
Well, what are your
attached to
feet
the
attached to?
Well, my feet aren't attached to anything.
Oh, well, how do you stay upright when you're upside down?
Well, the harness and the safety belt, my feet do lift a little bit.
I see. And what's your harness?
I'm sorry, Kitty. We're going to take you over to Larry Blyden.
Well, I assume everybody's inner ear is okay. Number three, do you get a little burp cup with that job?
It helps.
Number two, what do you do about your skin and your hair if you're up there and the wind is blowing on you and do that all
Oh, well,
the time?
sometimes I braid it and put it behind, and then I have a helmet. Or sometimes I might even put on a wig that would, protect my hair also.
Okay, number one, how did you start doing this?
Well, my husband was a pilot, and he always wanted to do stunts, and naturally, I was the most likely candidate. I certainly wouldn't want anyone else to fly with him.
So you got to beat a stunt. Number three, how long have you been doing this?
3 years now.
Number two, how fast does the plane go when this is all happening?
How fast does it go? Well, sometimes it cruises 130 miles an hour. When we do the inverted over the runway, it usually cruises about 130.
Okay, number three, do you hold your breath when the...
I'm sorry, Larry. We're going to finish with Peggy.
Number three, what does your family think when you took up this kind of work?
Well, they don't like it.
I can't believe that you've got the guts to do it. Number three, number one said that her feet are lifted off the wing. Don't you glue your feet down? I mean,
No, it's not necessary.
well, number two, what kind of shoes do you wear?
Oh, I have boots. I have boots, sequence boots.
But actually, well then, what do they tie the safety belt to?
This,
Number two.
the safety belt. It's a harness thing. You have this thing in the back.
Yeah.
And it comes down to the hood. And you see, your feet aren't fastened because.
But
like,
some of it has to be fastened. What's it fastened to?
you see, it's just like when the plane flies upside down. Inside, like my husband, when his feet come off the rudder, I mean, he can just apply pressure and the feet go back on. It's like the same principle.
I don't think you understand what I'm asking. Number one, now I don't understand what I'm
I was just sitting here listening to you getting deeper and deeper there all the time and no way out. There goes the bell. That means it's time for us to mark our ballots on what we have learned or have not learned. And we vote for number one, or possibly for number two, or conceivably for number three. And we pay $50 for each wrong guess. We pay $500 if the whole ball game goes down the drain. Bill Cullen, you want to start?
Yeah, these girls all know their airplanes pretty well, and I figured I'd work on the airplane. I voted for number three because number two had her engine overhauled too often.
Kitty?
I voted for number one. I think she's the real one, hands down, feet down.
Feet down. No doubt about it, says Kitty. What does Larry think?
I haven't got a clue, but I don't think number two's engine needs to be overhauled, and I think number one's engine is doing just fine, and I can just see number three up there that's hanging on.
All righty, and so we've got a pair of threes. And Pig, how are you going to go?
The third three.
Who's out there all by themselves?
Me.
Kitty's out there all by herself. All right, the votes are all in. Well, the real.
Oh, come on.
What? What, come on?
Oh, come on. You're pretending it's number two. It's not number two, is it?
I'm not pretending anything. I'm just sitting there getting ready to say the words. You ready?
Yes, come on.
Hurry up. I want to do it if you're not ready. Because if you're not ready, I don't like you to get upset. All right. Will the real Sandi Pierce please stand up? We were saved from a clean sweep by Kitty. Number one, tell us about yourself, please.
Well, my name is Sandra Redding, also a Sandy, and I demonstrate and sell wigs.
Oh. Dare we ask?
It is one.
It is one?
Yes.
Very good. Number 2.
I'm a secretary for the American Tobacco Company, and I'm running for Miss Staten Island.
Hey, I hope you're in there, my dear. Sandy, as incredible as it seems, wing riding is not all that you do. What are your other accomplishments in the air?
Well, I also fly aerobatics. I have my own airplane, and we are an air show team. And my husband and I tour the country in the Flying Pierce's air show team.
Flying Pierces.
Yes.
It's been a joy having all 3 of you with us. Good fun. Thanks a lot. Now, I guess one way to work into this next spot is to say that to do anything of that nature, flying a plane or riding a wing, demands great physical and mental control. Our next guest has conducted experiments that prove just how physically and mentally disorienting an individual can become through the use of drugs. However, he doesn't experiment on people, he does his experiments on spiders. Totally fascinating spot. Watch it in a minute right after these commercials. Now let us greet our expert on spider behavior.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Peter Witt.
Number 2.
My name is Peter Witt.
Number 3.
My name is Peter Witt.
All right, and listen while I read Peter Witt's scientific synopsis. It goes as follows. I, Peter Witt, give drugs to spiders. I do it to see the effect it has on their ability to weave webs. The disorientation that occurs is obvious, even to a non-scientific observer. Take a look at this web woven by an adult female spider. It is a typical, well-formed web. But after a dose of amphetamine dissolved in sugar water, this smaller and less regular web resulted. Here is an even more striking example. This web is the normal, or what we call control web. Then, after a dose of dextroamphetamine, also known as speed, this highly irregular web was made by the same spider some 12 hours later. Pep pills, tranquilizers, hallucinogens, LSD all affect both the quantity of the silk and the skill of the weaving. It certainly is a graphic example of chemical changes wrought by these drugs, and also an additional warning to all of us of the dangers involved in excessive drug use. Signed, Dr. Peter Witt. And we'll start the questioning with our always welcome guest, Larry Blyden.
Thank you, Gary. Doctor number 2, it's a fascinating thing to begin with spiders. Why did you pick them?
Well, I was actually not so much interested in spiders, but in drugs. And I couldn't try them on human beings, so I thought I should start on spiders.
Okay, number 3, why is there a parallel between the behavior of spiders and the behavior of people? Is their body chemistry similar? Or?
The body chemistry is similar, and the behavior of all living beings has some similarities and some differences.
Okay, and number 1, were you able to verify similar effects on other animals and on people too, or is it only in spiders that you've worked?
Yes, it is possible, but it is more effective with spiders.
Why is that?
Well, because you are able to test their reactions within the weaving of the webs and the disorientation, the distortion of the web as they produce.
Okay, number 2, it said that the silk was also of a different quality. How did you see that?
Well, the silk is much thinner if the drug is strong, and the threads may tear apart if the wind goes through them.
Number 3.
Larry, we're going to go from you to Peggy.
Number 3, did the spiders like the drugs?
They love them.
They love them, okay. Now, number 2, where do you carry on your experiments with spiders?
Well, we can't carry them outside, but in the laboratory, in the aluminium frame.
But where is your laboratory?
My laboratory is in McGill University in Montreal.
Oh, yes. Oh, good. Well, don't bring those spiders down here, they're dope fiends. Number 1, does the drugs affect their reproductive capacity in any way?
No.
There's no genetic difference from LSD in the spider?
No.
Well, they always say there are in people. Number 3, I never knew spiders made silk. I thought worms made silk that ate mulberry leaves. Is that real silk that spiders make?
All spiders make silk, yes.
Well, then why don't we use that kind of silk instead of going to Japan?
You have to have a few thousand spiders to make one pair of
Well,
stockings.
you make me a nice pair of stockings out of your spiders. Number 2, are your spiders expensive?
Oh, no, they're quite cheap.
Where do you buy spiders?
Well, I get them free.
From whom?
Well, from entomological institutes.
Oh, then they just give you the spiders.
Well, they give you the spiders.
Number 3, do you use any ordinary household type spider or black widow spiders or what?
Well, they have to be spiders that build geometric orb webs.
Oh, I got a
And
good
it
question
finally
about
takes
where
us
they...
down to Bill Cullen.
Number 1, well, you determine, of course, for these webs, the regularity has a physiological effect on the spider. But can the drugs you give these spiders be habit-forming to the spiders, as far as you can determine?
No, only for a certain period of time. The drug wears off within a period of 24 hours.
Number 2, if you find, how long does it take your spiders to get back to normal again? In other words, to kick the habit, or whatever spiders do.
Well, if the spider gets LSD or something like that, it